Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi wa kafa, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we are now looking at the Tafsir, ul-Masir, Fi Ilm it-Tafsir, from Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah. We are now starting from Surat Al-Baqarah, the second surah, Ayah 21. In this ayah, Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he starts by saying, quote, "Let us remember the words of the Exalted One when he says, يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون." Humanity, worship your Lord who created you and those before you, so that you might have fear and piety. The scholars differ with regard to exactly to whom this speech is being addressed, as there are 4 points that must be mentioned. One is that this statement, humanity, is general in that it is referring to all people. And this is the understanding of Ibn Abbas. The second understanding is that it is general, but it is also specific speech that is addressed firstly to the Jews and others like them, as mentioned by Al-Hasan and Mujahid. And thirdly, is that the speech is directed also to the unbelievers from amongst the idol worshippers of the Arabs and others, as said by As-Sudai. And fourthly, the statement is to the hypocrites and the Jews. And the statement, An-Nas, people or humanity, Muqatil has said the same. Now the expression An-Nas, or humanity or people, is a noun for the human animal or the human being. And he is named Nas, or they are called Nas, because of their moving about according to what they desire or will to move towards. And so the root of Nas means movement. But it's also stated that Nas is also from the same root as the word nisyan, to be forgetful, or to forget things, such as favors and the like. The intent of ibadah, worship, here in this place is referring to 2 things. One is at-Tawheed, the oneness and uniqueness of Allah. And secondly, obedience to Allah. Both positions related from Ibn Abbas. The word khalq in this ayah means to bring something into existence. And it is only mentioned, the statement, who created you and those before them are mentioned because it is greater emphasis and hyperbole to make mention of that. And it is a greater proof and shows the falsity of denying the truth. It is also stated that the reason why those from before them were mentioned is to inform them of the fact that their states and those before them were known about, and that the obedient one shall be rewarded and the disobedient one punished. Let it also be understood that the expression la'allakum or la'alla in this place is referring to so that they do, which is a statement of fact. Remember the nasheed that used to be said, and you have said to us, sufficient are the wars so that we might abstain from them and lay down our burdens. Whereas when the war ceased, they took your covenants, just as the flames are thrown up. Just as the flames are thrown up in the outer darkness of the desert when the fire is kindled. So, this expression, la'alla, used in this place, la'allana, means so that we might abstain from war. So this understanding that so that you might is understood by Muqatil and Qatrab and Ibn Kaysan. The second meaning within this expression, la'allakum or la'alla, is that it is so that one may be able to attain something else. For example, worship Allah in the hope that you will have piety and fear. Because the piety of yourselves and going towards that is the truth. But if you should abstain from the worship, the punishment of Allah is most assuredly true. This grammatical understanding is that taken from Sibawayh. While Ibn Abbas says that so that you might abstain, tattaqun in this ayah means so that you might abstain. And abstain in this ayah is referring to major shirk, as stated by Ad-Dahhak. And Ad-Dahhak also states that so that you might abstain, which is the literal rendering of tattaqun, means the fire, so that you might abstain from the fire. Mujahid says so that you might abstain and that you might also obey Allah. Allah says further in the ayah, moving on from this, He says, the Exalted One, الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ فِرَاشًا. He is the one who made the earth as a bed for you. The earth has only been referred to as a bed in this ayah due to the fact that it is spread out. For example, people will say, I've spread out the cloth, or I've spread out the sheeting, meaning that it's been stretched out. It has also been laid under the sky, and it is lower than the sky. So everything that is lower can be referred to as ard. Sometimes the expression can be used. Indeed, the people have stamped their feet on the earth. The sky is referred to as sama because of its loftiness. As Zujaj has said, all of what is lofty and above the earth can technically be given the name sama or banat as mentioned in the ayah. But the word banat here, or binat in some readings, here Ibn Abbas says it's referring to the sky as a ceiling for you, as we remember the entire ayah. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. By remembering this ayah, it is said, He is the one who made for you the earth as a bed, the sky as a ceiling, and He sent down from the sky water. And as a cause of that, vegetation came out as a sustenance for you. So do not make for Allah rivals, and you certainly know better. This particular part of the ayah, He sent down from the sky, is referring to the clouds. And the water here is referring to the rain. Close quote. Now this is very important. The rules of modern meteorology, and that rain was coming from the sky, and a lot of the information such as that was not known to our friends here in the United Kingdom. In the US, it wasn't even a country. 900 years ago, 1,000 years ago, this is information that is commonplace to the Muslims. Remember, Ibn Al-Jawzi, he studied meteorology. There wasn't even a science of meteorology here. Now you have meteorologists, people that study barometric pressure. Back then, this was something understood. So he's saying that when we're talking about rain coming from the sky, it's not referring to the sky itself, but it's talking about the clouds. Many people did not make the connection, especially out here, between the fact that the rain, because it looks like it's coming from the sky, the fact that what's being referred to in the ayah is not the sky, but it's actually the clouds. And there's another ayah where Allah mentions in the Qur'an that He sent over the muzun, which is the word for cloud, and that rain and water is carried by them and comes out of them. This is why Ibn Al-Jawzi is getting this understanding. It's coming from the speech of Allah, and it's also coming from their scientific knowledge back then. Because remember, this has to be pounded into your chest repeatedly. Ibn Al-Jawzi had an observatory. He was a scientist. He specialized in math. He specialized in biology. He specialized in all these other sciences that now we really think Oxford and Cambridge, these little horse stables in the middle of open country, have done something. They've not. And so you're looking at 1,900 years ago. This is what's going on. Imam Al-Jawzi rahimahullah then says, quote, the statement, so do not make for Allah rivals, means partners that have been taken besides Allah. So when we say this thing is a rival of this, or its rival, what's intended by rivalship here are two things. One, are do not take idols as rivals, as said by Ibn Zayd. And secondly, do not take as rivals men who they used to obey them in disobedience to Allah, and they become rivals because of this, as said by As-Sudai. And the final part of the ayah, while you know better, has 6 points to it. Firstly, do not take them as rivals while you know better is referring to the fact that while you know that He created the sky, sent down water, and did all of what has been explained in these ayat. This understanding has been narrated from Ibn Abbas, Qatada, and Muqatil. Secondly, while you know that such a thing of taking rivals to Him has not been mentioned in your book, or in the Torah or the Injil. This has also been mentioned by Ibn Abbas, and it is also been said by him that this speech contextually is referring to the Ahlul Kitab, the people of the book. Thirdly, while you know that there's no rival for Him because you know better than to believe that, as stated by Mujahid. Fourthly is that the knowledge here in the statement, while you know better, is referring to the intellect, as stated by Ibn Qutaybah. And fifthly, while you know better, is that you are not able to do anything at all of what he has done, according to what's been mentioned in that ayah.